in the cold air. Freezing breath on a window pane, lying and waiting. A man in the dark in a picture frame, so mystic and soulful. A voice reaching out in a piercing cry, it stays with you until the feeling is gone, only you and I, it means nothing to me. This means nothing to me.
Demonstrators outside the Iranian embassy near Hyde Park Gate in London were a familiar sight in the first few days of May 1980. The reason they were there underlined the complexities of Middle Eastern politics at the time. 5 Arab gunmen had taken over the building and held the 20 people inside at the time as hostages. May the 5th was the 6th day of the siege, and the gunmen were getting impatient. They shot dead one of their hostages, the Iranian press attaché Abbas Lavasani, and threatened to kill another every half hour unless their demands, the release of 91 Arab prisoners in Iran, were met. The time had come for the authorities to act.
That was a bomb. That was a bomb.
The Special Air Service had been called in to help the police, and for the next few minutes took over the whole operation. Anyone watching television that evening, hoping to see the World Snooker Championships or a play, found themselves witnessing a real-life drama instead, as the team prepared to blast their way into the building. Four of the 5 gunmen shot dead by the SAS. One of the hostages, a BBC sound recordist, Sim Harris, who 6 days earlier had gone to the embassy to collect a visa, was steered back into a safe room. The embassy had started to burn as soon as the SAS had thrown in their first explosives. By now it was well alight, but everyone was out of the building. The whole exercise had taken just 11 minutes. The SAS men involved disappeared as secretly as they'd arrived. It was an incident that did much to enhance their reputation for ruthless military efficiency. The hostages were taken away for medical checks after what turned out to be the last of the Middle East's surrogate wars fought out on the streets of Britain.
The pop world and beyond mourn the Beatles' John Lennon murdered in New York. The man who's said to have shot him as a 25-year-old from Hawaii. Police describe him as mentally disturbed. Meanwhile, John Lennon's New York admirers mount a vigil outside his home.
Oh, I got a live one here. This is BBC One. Now a news report from John Humphreys.
Britain has suffered its first major losses in the Falklands conflict. The Ministry of Defence announced tonight that the destroyer Sheffield came under an Argentine missile attack. It later sank. All the crew who got out of the ship have been picked up, but the ministry spokesman says there were casualties. He didn't say how many. HMS Sheffield, one of the most modern warships in the Royal Navy, normally has a crew of nearly 300 men. As well as her loss, a Sea Harrier was shot down and its pilot killed. Here's how the Defence Ministry spokesman made the announcement about the Sheffield.
In the course of its duties within the total exclusion zone around the Falkland Islands, HMS Sheffield, a Type 42 destroyer, was attacked and hit late this afternoon by an Argentine missile. The ship caught fire, which spread out of control. When there was no longer any hope of saving the ship's company abandoned ship. All who abandoned her were picked up. It is feared that there have been a number of cases.
He opens the door, he's got that look on his face, and he asks you where you've been. You tell him you've seen, and you talk about anything. He's got this dream about buying some land. He's gonna give up the booze and the one-night stands, and then he'll settle down in some quiet little town and forget about everything. But you know he'll always keep moving. You know he's never gonna stop moving, 'cause he's rolling, he's the rolling stone. When you wake up, it's a new morning. The sun is shining, it's a new morning. And you're going home.
Hey, £1,000 for the weekend? No wonder they call this place the Grand.
Quite, sir.
The Light Brigade made less ridiculous charges.
Trouser press, jacuzzi. We never used them.
They were there if Madam had wanted to.
You ought to run this place like my Abbey National Current Account. I mean, they don't charge. The checks, standing orders, statements.
No charges, even with approved overdrafts.
We're £50 short.
Ah, that was the charge for the use of my car.
But we didn't use it.
Oh, well, it was there if you wanted to, all right?
Abbey National, with no transaction charges and interest. It's the most current account.
Stale smells up here often come from down there, and your carpet smells from your dog, and tobacco too. Well, Shake and Vac from Glady's here. It's all you have to do. Do the shake and vac and put the freshness back. Do the shake and vac and put the freshness back. When your carpet smells fresh, your room does too. Every time you vacuum, remember what to do. Do the shake and vac and put the freshness back. Shake and Vac in 3 fragrances.
Happiness is a cigar called Hamlet, the mild cigar.
I don't suppose you have a copy of Fly Fishing by J.R. Hartley. It is rather old. It's by J.R. Hartley.
No luck, Dad. Never mind. There's still a few more to try.
Good old yellow pages. We don't just help with the nasty things in life, like a blocked drain. We're there for the nice things, too.
You do? Oh, that's wonderful. Can you keep it for me? My name, oh yes, it's J.R. Hartley.
The water in Mallorca doesn't taste like what it ought to.
No. The water in Majorca don't taste like what it ought to.
The water in Mallorca doesn't taste quite how it should.
Majorca.
Mallorca?
Majorca.
Mallorca.
Hi, Dale. Any danger of some refreshment in here?
Here you are. Get your laughing gear in there.
Oh, golly. The water in Majorca...
What's that?
Don't taste like what it oughta. Oh, gosh. The water in Majorca don't taste like what it oughta.
She's cracking. She's only corrected.
You're absolutely wrong.
Heineken refreshes the parts other beers cannot reach.
On your last trip, did you discover what the Earth people eat? They eat a great many of these. They peel them with their metal knives. Boil them for 20 of their minutes. Then they smash them all to bits. They are clearly a most primitive people.
For mash, get smash.
It was a bitter cold but sparkling clear morning at Cape Canaveral. Here at the last seconds of the countdown.
3, 2, 1, and liftoff. Liftoff of the 25th Space Shuttle mission, and it has cleared the tower.
All the communications between the shuttle and mission control indicated everything was going fine. There was a sense of relief that the much-delayed flight was finally underway.
Engines at 65%, 3 engines running normally, 3 good fuel cells, 3 good APUs. Engines throttling up, 3 engines now at 104%.
Challenger, go at throttle up.
It happened just over 1 minute into flight.
1 minute, 15 seconds. Velocity 2,900 feet per second. Altitude 9 nautical miles. Downrange distance 7 nautical miles.
From mission control, silence. Then the bland, chilling report.
We have a report from the flight dynamics officer that the vehicle has exploded. Flight director confirms that. We are looking at checking with the recovery forces to see what can be done at this point.
Julia Somerville and John Humphreys.
Disaster in space. The shuttle explodes.
All 7 on board are killed.
Their families watched as it happened.
President Reagan says we'll honor the dead by going ahead with the space program.
Good evening. The 25th flight of the American Space Shuttle has ended in disaster.
market town of Hungerford in Berkshire is sealed off by armed police tonight. At lunchtime in the town's high street, which was crowded with market day shoppers, a man armed with an automatic rifle went berserk. According to the Chief Constable of Thames Valley Police, at least 9 people have been killed and 14 injured. The majority were shot in the high street. One of those killed was a policeman. 2 bodies, both women's, were found elsewhere, one of them in a burning house, the other in a forest.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. What is love?
Christopher and Elizabeth have together made their covenant before God in this congregation. They've made their vows to each other and have shown their consent by joining their hands, by giving and receiving a ring. I therefore pronounce them to be husband and wife in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
In a frenzy of celebration. East German border guards watched as jubilant crowds danced on the infamous Berlin Wall that's divided Europe for a generation. All night, thousands of Berliners from both East and West streamed through the crossing points, and throughout the night our correspondents have been out with them. Our first report from East Berlin comes from Brian Hanrahan.
It was to Bornholmer-Strasse in the north of the city that most Berliners hurried to check what was happening. The police are making no attempt to stop people, the gates have been thrown open, and thousands of people are pouring over to take a look at a West, in some cases their first look, and the elation is enormous.
Save you from yourself when you wanna take a bite. Please, oh baby, please, you beg, you want, you say you got to get some. Caught up in the charm that I laid on thinking. Now there's nowhere to run, just another fish to bit the worm on a hook of my line. Yeah, I keep many females longing for a chance to win my heart with SEX and plenty.
Ooh la la!